First, the news just coming in a bid to ramp up pressure on Tehran. The United States has designated Iran's Revolutionary Guards as a terrorist organization. The Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps is a branch of Iran's armed forces founded after the 1979 revolution. The elite group has already been labeled as a terrorist organization by Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. But with Donald Trump designating the elite force as a terror group, it is the first time that the U.S. has formally designated a national armed force as a foreign terrorist organization. A statement, in fact, from the Office of the Press Secretary reads, and I'm quoting now, "This unprecedented step recognizes the reality that Iran is not only a state sponsor of terrorism, but that the Revolutionary Guard Corps actively participate in finances and promote terrorism as a tool of statecraft." That's a strongly worded statement. The move also could complicate the U.S. relationship with other bodies in West Asia that have connections with the Corps, notably in Iraq and Lebanon. Let's take a listen into U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo addressing media persons on the latest development.
Bombing, which killed 19 American service members. In 2011, the United States foiled an IRGC Kurzforce right here in Washington, D.C. to bomb a restaurant. The attempt was to kill the Saudi ambassador to the United States of America. Outside of the United States, the IRGC's terror campaign is just as active. In 2012, 4 Quds Force operatives were apprehended after plotting to attack Israeli targets in Turkey. In that same year, 2 other Quds Force operatives were arrested in Kenya for planning a bomb attack, while the Quds Force also directed a bomb attack that targeted Israeli diplomats. And as recently as January 2018, German authorities uncovered 10 suspected Quds Force operatives active in their country. The IRGC supports Palestinian terror groups that target innocent civilians, and it helped create U.S.-designated terror groups both in Lebanon and in Iraq. And the IRGC also backs the murderous Assad regime, which gasses and slaughters its own people. Our designation makes clear to the world that the Iranian regime not only supports terrorist groups, but engages in terrorism itself. This designation also brings unprecedented pressure on figures who lead the regime's terror campaign, individuals like Qasem Soleimani. He's the commander of the Quds Force and oversees Iran's forces deployed to advance the Islamic Revolution through terrorism and other forms of violence. He doles out the regime's profits to terrorist groups across the region and around the world. The blood of the 603 American soldiers the Iranian regime has found to have killed in Iraq is on his hands and on the hands of the IRGC more broadly. Inexplicably, the regime has faced no accountability from the international community for those deaths. Far from being an arbitrary attack on Iran, our pressure campaign imposes just and long overdue consequences for the regime's malign activity. We should not also forget the IRGC's central role in the nationwide con artistry and corruption of the regime's leaders, which they perpetrate against the regime's own people. Other governments and the private sector will now see more clearly how deeply the IRGC has enmeshed itself in the Iranian economy through both licit and illicit means. In just this past July, the City Council of Tehran announced that the IRGC Cooperative Foundation, which manages the IRGC's investments, has embezzled more than $1 billion from the city of Tehran. The next month, a former council member accused the longtime mayor of Tehran of steering contracts to the IRGC. It's no coincidence that the mayor also formerly served as an IRGC commander and the chief of Iran's police state. Back in 2017, Tehran arrested several IRGC commanders involved with the Cooperative Fund for Corruption, including the IRGC's financial architect, Masoud Merdadi. Then there's Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's old college pal, Sadiq Musili. They call him the billionaire general. He went from being a low-level IRGC officer to one of Iran's richest men, all thanks to scoring construction and oil contracts from companies linked to the IRGC. The leaders of Iran are racketeers, not revolutionaries. The Iranian people deserve better than to be governed by this cadre of hypocritical and corrupt officials. They're opportunists. And on a final note, the IRGC is also responsible for wrongly detaining U.S. persons, several of whom remain in captivity in Iran. The American people should know that we are working diligently to bring each of those individuals home. With this designation, we are sending a clear signal, a clear message to Iran's leaders, including Qasem Soleimani and his band of thugs, that the United States is bringing all pressure to bear to stop the regime's outlaw behavior. We ask that our allies and partners around the world do the same. Thank you.
Secretary.
The larger message coming out from that statement that's now been put out by the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is that Iran is a state sponsor of terror, and that goes in line with the stance that the U.S. President Donald Trump, of course, has maintained over the last few weeks. But this is an unprecedented step. Let's tell you why. This is the first time that the U.S. has formally designated a national armed force as a foreign terrorist organization. The statement that was put out by the press secretary's office just a while back, and also something that has been reiterated by Mike Pompeo now, is that not only is Iran sponsoring terrorism, but that the Revolutionary Guard Corps actively participate in promoting and financing terrorism. Now, this, of course, has far-reaching implications, not just vis-a-vis the relationship between Iran and the United States, but also vis-a-vis U.S.'s relation with various bodies in West Asia that, of course, have connections with the core, specifically when we look at Iraq and Lebanon. But at the same time, Iran's Revolutionary Guards being accorded the status of a terrorist organization is something that will attract widespread reactions, of course, coming in from West Asia. We'll, of course, keep a close eye on those reactions. But the elite group, the founding of which was way back after the 1979 revolution, has already been labeled as a terrorist organization by Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. But with the United States, this is an unprecedented development. It's the first time that America has formally designated a national armed force as a foreign terrorist organization, saying that the Revolutionary Guard Corps promote and sponsor and finance terrorism.